in the last 2 years. Literally, we had about 7 people in a skeleton company on care and maintenance, trying to get the right funding and capital structure in place 2 years ago. And today, we have 30 mining professionals and over 20 people working the hotel. We purchased the hotel May 1st, and it's been cash profitable since day one. In fact, last year, the occupancy of the hotel was about 29–30%, and it was sort of creeping down. Granted, it's a little seasonal, but we've been about 70% since we purchased it, and that doesn't include this week, which we're full out, right? What I think the most significant change, that's occurred in the last 2 years is that there is an overwhelmingly strong alignment in terms of what we're trying to do. And so what I'm sure you're here today from 10 different people, be it the managers of the board, is the direction that we're going in and how we're doing it. There's a very, very strong alignment. That's not luck, right? We work on that very, very hard all the time. We're focused on a precise goal, and we're all going in the same direction. The important part of that is, no one's restricted from buying stock, right? I've not yet had an investor or a potential investor, well, certainly we have not had potential investors come to visit us on the Comstock and not invest after they left. And that speaks to the quality of this team that you're going to see in a minute and the quality of the asset. All right? But that doesn't mean existing investors can't buy more stock. So the way that we've got everything scheduled is everyone really needed to check in. Thank you for doing that. It seems like they've done that. And so let me do some introductions right here. And if I could just, when I introduce people, if you could just stand and just wave your hand so that you can start to associate names with faces. The dinner and the entertainment is with, we actually have Mark Twain here with us. Yeah. And Mark Twain has always been an investor in the Comstock. Yeah. Okay. In the production presentation, it'll be led by Cliff Nelson, our Vice President of Operations. The guys that have been hitting gold and silver on literally almost every single hole that they've been drilling, Larry Martin and Mike Norad, if you just raise your hands, guys. Open the door. Can they open that door? It's closed. Just mention to her to leave it open. Yeah. And then community development is Doug McQuaid. There it is, right there by the bar entrance. Let me just quickly now. Let me talk about who we are and give you the rest of the introductions. I mentioned alignment, right? One of the things that you're going to really appreciate here is that we're marching on a very precise path. Okay, our goal has basically 2 objectives. One is to go into production this year. We will go into production this year. You're going to get a very strong feel for that. Ask as many detailed questions as you want about any obstacles that you could imagine about going into production. We're going into production this year. Okay, we're going into production under existing permits. Okay, and that's going to equate to 700,000 tons more per annum and at least 20,000 ounces. And that's just where we're starting. Okay. Secondly, is we're going to validate 3.25 million ounces of at least measured and indicated. So for those of you that understand the categories in the industry, internally, we don't count inferred ounces. They're real, they exist, right? But we don't hold ourselves to inferred. There's assumptions in inferred, there's extrapolation in inferred. It means a lot to have inferred ounces, right? But we want to know what we have. So measured and indicated or better. So if we have 3.25 million of measured and indicated or better, it means a much, much bigger number in total, okay? And when you look at companies that have that type of a resource, you see some very, very high valuations. Everybody likes to talk about Frontier because it was just recently bought by Newmont, precisely because it was a Nevada asset, right? We'll have more ounces than Frontier, and we have better grades, and we'll be in production. So just to give people a point of reference. So we said by 2013 we're going to have those gold equivalent ounces validated. Now, we know that Nevada is a silver state, and most of you know it's a silver state solely because of the Comstock. So today we have just under 1.1 million of measured and indicated, and almost over 1.6 in total. But that really means that we have over 1 million ounces of gold and almost 18 million ounces of silver. And somebody was passing around a 100-ounce bar of silver, so make sure nobody runs away with it. This is a focusing step for us, and the only negative implication of us being this focused is that people believe that there's only 3.25 million ounces in the Comstock, which is a joke. This is really an intermediate step for us. When we get to this point, we will have drilled on possibly 8% of our land holding and not to any meaningful depth at all by any historical standards, meaning we're just scratching the surface. But it's important to achieve something meaningful so that you have a real company with real value and real assets. So that's our first step. The rest of the team, you'll get to meet me throughout the day. I'm sure I'll be here. I won't close the bar, but I'll be close to that. Larry Martin, you've already met, Chief Geologist, Vice President of all Exploration and Mine Development, over 30 years of experience, and the people who know him in the industry describe him as the finder of gold. A lot of people look for it, not a lot of people find it, right? And leads the team that's responsible for the hit rates that we're getting. Cliff Nelson, you saw also 8 successful startups, anywhere from an open mine to underground mine to 14-story offshore dredging off the coast of Alaska when he was in his early 30s. So people who have done it before. Mike Norad developed the model, the resource model, and does all of our geological, geostatistical resource planning. Right? We have an in-house expert that basically controls all of our geological data. And the data in our company is staggering. We have 120 years of former mines. We have we have about 1,000 holes in our technical report. We have almost 3,000 holes of data that is not in our technical report, or 2 of the 3 not in our technical report. Right? Mike controls all that data, interfaces with Barry Dober, and makes sure that what we publish is technically correct and validated by someone else. But he does much more than that. He's integral to all the planning of our exploration activities. Steve Russell. Steve, where are you? Right there. 30-year senior mine geologist. Steve Russell is a resident of Virginia City. He's done an extensive amount of geology on the Comstock, but even beyond. But Steve is all about grade control, mine control, production control. So we have senior geologists on the rigs in the mines at all time. Bill Mitchell, you could look back, Bill Mitchell with the sunglasses. Bill will be on the tour with Steve. And don't hesitate to ask these guys questions about what you're seeing. They're the guys that are out there every single day. The reason our drills don't terminate when we're in the middle of mineralization is because we have geologists on the drills all the time, assessing, logging, and directing. Dennis Anderson, Dennis, right there. Dennis is a senior engineer, a qualified geologist, a qualified person. I'm not going to give you all of his credentials because they go on and on. He holds 6 patents to his name. Dennis has also spent half a decade in the Nevada Department of Environmental Protection at a time when all the regulations were being rewritten for flexible rules, and has very strong relationships and very intimate knowledge with all the permitting and environmental processes. Randy Harris is our newest hire. Where's Randy? Way back there. Some of you may have read about Randy because we just put a press release out about hiring him and updating people